93.9 BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You have found the Sports Bar. Pull up a stool and join us today at area code 585-866-4326, 585-866-4326. We have no shortage of things to talk about. Sometimes it's not the writing that's difficult, it's the editing. And we're just going to get to the meat of things here today. As I'm doing the show here today, I'm not counting on producer Tim Schneider to weigh in on anything because he's watching his Bonnies right now. They're going to win.
Doing well.
They're doing well. 76-55 over LaSalle. It is March, right? So it is that time. The big story today out of Syracuse. No one cares that I was right when I said yesterday that not only the Orange would lose, but by the time we got to the air today, that you'd have a vacancy, and that is the case. Adrian Autry fired by Syracuse. We found that out this morning. The Orange failing to reach the tournament in 3 seasons under Autry, and not just from the Syracuse standard, but I would think if you're a Power 5 school, that would be true of anybody. If you don't make the NCAA tournament in a 3-year stretch, then what are we doing here? What is the hope? So, and what's next for Syracuse? We can discuss that. Jerry McNamara, he won last night, right? So Siena is going to the tournament. So he will be a name. But the interesting part is that you have an AD that's exiting stage left. But we have these other stories to talk about, certainly. But just wanted to get that out there if you hadn't heard that Syracuse, they made the move this morning. There will be a new head basketball coach next year. Today on the show, 2 o'clock hour. We want to talk about fortuitous timing. Our betting expert and also a Baltimore honk, PJ Glasser, will join us. I'm sure he would enjoy me calling him a Baltimore honk. Because he'll come on, Gene, I just love the move the Ravens did, and they saved the 2 first-round picks. Gene, I have no idea what PJ will say, but he's a good sport about stuff. PJ Glasser, as he's a college basketball expert. We will talk to him about some winners. He's got a few plays, specifically in the SEC tournament, that you might want to kind of listen in on. That's coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. Bottom of this hour, Paul Hamilton, WGR, the WGR. We're WGR Rochester, but you hear Paul on all the shows as the Sabres beat reporter, and went out last night, and this team is fun. They are real. It's not just one line. It's not just one defensive pairing. Get out there, and very rarely do you get to a game and then you see the lineup. You see this in youth sports. You're like, wait, that kid's. Hey, if you're gonna kind of take a cheapish shot at Tage Thompson, well then I'm gonna come after you, as Benson did last night. So this is a team that sticks up for each other, and they're playing the right way. And they did some things last night, like, hey, don't put the puck on the stick of Macklin Celebrini. That'll cost you. He's really good. So the Sabres have won 8 straight games. Washington is the opponent tomorrow night. We'll talk to Paul Hamilton. Bottom of this hour, and we got the Amherst tonight, as they have yet to get 2 points. It's an 8-game streak of not getting to 2 points. Don't want to say losing because you do get the loser point. I guess you can say it's an 8-game losing streak for the Amherst. Not good. No bueno. So 4-point game coming up against Utica. That'll be tonight with Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks. Again, our number, 866-4326. Our handle, WGR Rochester. Our phone number, brought to you by Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. The Wingman Line. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. Bills news today, really the only thing is another restructure. Josh Allen. Now, you might have saw the original report that it was opening up all this space. Albert Breer had $40 million. No. Actually, it's only 14. But that's okay. So it opens up space, and you would figure the Bills are going to be compliant. They have to be compliant by the time the deadline comes around at 4 o'clock today as legal tampering will end. The league year begins at 4 o'clock. And who knew we were going to have all these fireworks? And sometimes when you go to a sporting event, it's fun for different reasons. You have that kind of communal feel. And I got that last night because what do you do when you watch a sporting event now or Netflix or whatever? Chances are that, right on your thigh, maybe right in the palm of your hand, you got your phone. And, some may call it. And it just times out perfect that there's a media timeout. And all of a sudden, people in the row ahead of me, the guys next to me, Crosby. And it's just that they went to their phone just a second earlier than I did. And then as I look, I'm like, I see the statement from the Raiders. And as I'm reading the statement from the Raiders, I get the first text, as a fine producer should. Hey, look at this. It's terrible take Timmy informing me. My gosh, the Crosby deal is off. So many angles. Let me start here because like Jeff at Three Heads, Andre Fontenette, there are many Raider fans in our town here in Rochester. And it's not just somebody that, started picking up the team last year. You're a Raider fan, you go back. It's an identity. And it's not just Rochester, it's other places around the Raider Nation. It's a fan base that I believe has gotten kicked to the groin more than anybody else. And you could say, oh, well, what about Buffalo? It's different. These are things that really beyond your control. I mean, I would back it up to, I don't know. We don't even know the name Tom Brady today. I'm being honest. If not for the tuck rule. If Brady fumbles, we think of that game as, nothing. Raiders win, and the Patriots had a fun season with their backup quarterback, Drew Bledsoe, comes in the next year. Right? Could that have gone that way? I had never heard of the tuck rule. Chances are you never heard of the tuck rule. And when that happened, I'm like, wow. And look, that game went to overtime. The Raiders could have won it in overtime, and they didn't. So it's not like that one call cost them the game. But if that call doesn't happen, the Raiders get the ball back, and, they kneeled down on it, and that's that. That, to me, was they got jobbed in that one. That was horrible. Now, be careful when I'm saying this. What I'm saying is, John Gruden, once those emails were out, he deserved to be fired, right? There's no defending that, okay? You say things like that, that's terrible for business, much less leading a life, right? But you can't tell me that those were the only emails that were inappropriate that were going through the Washington football office. I always thought that was fishy too. So the idea that the Raiders, we're going to pick out you as an example for racism in this league, and as your head coach, here, you look at this. Wow. Boy, that fan base, they didn't deserve that. Where did that come from? And now you get this. And like those other two stories, this is different. This smells. It's not like the dead mouse in the corner of your basement. This really, really reeks. You mean to tell me that just magically Trey Hendrickson ends up in Baltimore after doctors fail the physical for Max Crosby? No, it's buyer's remorse. It's cold feet. It's maybe the owner saying to the GM, wait a second. You're giving up 2 first-round picks, and I could get this guy for comparable money, and I don't have to do that? Oh, and yeah, there's kind of a knee issue. Boy, there's all sorts of gray area. Now, this is the area where you always have to be careful when you're talking about medicals and players' health and everything else. Right? There are HIPAA laws for a reason. But could it be just in the eye of the beholder? Like there's all like the report from Diane Rossini, like the Ravens were more concerned about the long term. Well, no S. Sorry, I got to censor myself. Long term, everybody in the NFL isn't good. What, like Max Crosby's best days are ahead of him? No, you're doing this like in a 1 year, 2 year window. No, it's a convenient way to get out of it. The only way I could think, maybe, and this is a stretch, and I'm getting over my skis here. But do you remember Von Miller? Yeah, of course you do. When he was in Buffalo and he's having a good year, and then we get the word somewhere around November-ish, oh, he's got a knee injury, he's going to need a scope. Hey, no big deal, it's a meniscus. Happens all the time. 1 month, he'll be back. And then they get in there, and then all of a sudden, the season's over. What? How? What? They got in there, and they saw the ACL, and basically it's kind of just, just a little thread, almost like a shoelace, when it's about ready to kind of rip off in two. I do that to my shoelaces all the time, right? So, okay, they got in there, and they're like, well, we're here. Sorry, Von, we got to shut you down. And then, they preemptively fix his ACL, too, before that was going to give out who knows when. So I don't know. I'm just coming up with theories as to if this is actually legit. But, again, it smells. And I want to know more here. Notice that the Raiders yesterday didn't put fail the physical in that statement. They put in there, backed out of the deal. The Baltimore Ravens have backed out of the deal. It's bad business by Baltimore. If you're a Raven fan, you may say, no, that's just, we had an out. To go to go to that card, though. Here's what I would do if I'm Max Crosby. And he has yet to speak. So that's why, how we say, stories have legs, like kind of move along. This story's going to go somewhere. Okay, the Raiders now have an asset that they weren't expecting, right? Like, oh, look who's back after he penned his goodbye and said to everybody how excited he was to be a Baltimore Raven. Okay, so that's one story. What do the Raiders do from here? Is it the ultimate makeup? Do you kiss and make nice? What did they say in The Sopranos? Do you have a sit down? That's one option. Option number 2 is not good either. That, all right, the Ravens got Max Crosby because they were giving up 2 first-rounders. In the first round of this year, hey, a mid-first rounder. So you could say, Brandon Beane doesn't do enough. Well, Brandon Beane offered 2 first-rounders. That's not as good as Baltimore's offer because Baltimore this year picks ahead of Buffalo. Well, I can tell you that if the Ravens are putting out there they have medical concerns, then the trade market for one Max Crosby now has just plummeted. And if you're the Raiders, what do you do? Do you sell now? No. It's an option, but you're not doing that now. You're going through the whole offseason. You're showing Max Crosby on the field. You get seeds of doubt across the league that this is more the Ravens getting nervous and jerky. And then, just like how the Cowboys, like practically on the eve of the season, shipped off Micah Parsons to Green Bay. And there will be some team that will have the 30-something million that you would need for the cap space. It won't be Buffalo at that point, I'm sure, coming up in August, if that's the way they decide to go. Ironically, like Micah Parsons end up with a season-ending injury. So there's always risk to that. Of course, these are NFL players. It's a very physical sport. Again, I sympathize for Raider fans. Like, this would have been like a really nice kind of rebuilding block. You do get your quarterback this year in the draft, somebody you should be excited about. He'll have his ups, he'll have his downs. Can't count on the playoffs this year, but is there going to be enough progress? But you thought, all right, we're getting assets for the draft, and when we do get good in 3 years, is really Max Crosby going to be a part of this? That's the ultimate question. Like, what is the timeline you think you're going to be good? If it's this year, hey, we're going to make the postseason, which this year, no. You're not making the postseason if you're the Raiders, you're being honest. Not with the Ravens, getting back. Trey Hendrickson, not with the Bengals, having a full season of Joe Burrow. Now with the Chiefs doing what the Chiefs are doing. There are teams that didn't make the postseason last year, as we know here in Western New York, that will be back next year. So, to me, the only choice is for the Raiders. This is just a very uncomfortable situation that you are just going to have to sit on and then wait for the opportunity later in the summer. The other thing, too, is, there's somebody who could actually force this issue. And it's just kind of a radical idea because you don't want to force your fellow players into a position like this. I remember there was, who was that writer in Chicago? Riley. He goes up to Sammy Sosa in the locker room with like a pee bottle and says, hey, if you don't do steroids, let's chew this right now. And Sammy Sosa didn't know how to handle that. But in the end, he didn't take the Rick Riley challenge for the instant urine test to show that he's clean. Why? Because then basically for everybody else, you're forcing everybody else in the league, the union, to do that. So that's the thing that Max Crosby has to deal with here, is that I'm sure Max Crosby, knowing that guy, he would probably get on a scale naked right now and say, X-ray me, do whatever you want. I am here to win football games for your team, and poke and prod me and whatever. Baltimore was wrong, and I'm going to make Baltimore regret it. Well, as much as I want to think that Max Crosby is going to give his medical records to the media, to send it to any GM can look at this stuff, but to win the court of public opinion, that's not going to happen either. So Max Crosby, I'm sure, is going to speak at some point, number one. Number two, if I had to guess, I'm thinking it's going to take a few months here, but I think Max Crosby will be on a different team. Number three, here's my wish. I wish that the team that Max Crosby goes to has the Baltimore Ravens on their schedule next year. Boy, I thought only Cleveland Brown fans could hate the Ravens. Like, what the Ravens did last night? And it's not just the Raiders understand. Because, again, going back to me at the Sabre game last night, and the Sabres put up 2 goals in the first 5 minutes. Everybody's like, woo, woo, woo. And then you're just with strangers reacting to this in real time, and they all of a sudden become my focus group for the show today. Meaning, I don't even know the 2 kids that were sitting next to me in Sabre jerseys, but the one's a Cowboy fan, I can tell you that, and he's like, damn it, we had an offer for a first and a second. Now, do we renege on our deal with Green Bay? Again, 4 o'clock today. All the stuff we heard up until now, none of this is official. Squadoosh. And again, no one cares when you're right, but I just I brought up a proper noun that I want to turn into a verb. Will anybody be McKissicking? J.D. McKissick. Hey, I want to join the Buffalo Bills. Great. We announced that, and that goes out. And then all of a sudden, next day, I'm not coming. What? Well, that wasn't official until Wednesday. Cold feet. So it's not a player, it's a team in this instance. I mean, I can't prove that, but we're not dumb, right? This whole thing smells. Paul Hamilton will be coming up here in just a little bit. One other note from the NFL today. You have to admire the NFL for its greed. Greed is good. Greed works. Right? Like, that's the quintessential 80s film, right? Michael Douglas with the slick back hair talking about greed. Is he giving that speech to NFL owners? Because just when you thought they couldn't figure out another way to take more broadcast money, floated out there today that the NFL now wants a Thanksgiving Eve game. Thanksgiving Eve. Okay, Thanksgiving is on a Thursday. So we're talking about a Wednesday night game? How does that work? And the league is so concerned about player safety. Yeah, let's play Wednesday night football. It's happening. And why will it happen? Because inventory. inventory for your Google, your Netflix, whoever wants to, Google by Google, YouTube TV. Like, whoever wants to bid on the next package, we need to provide another standalone game. Please sign right here. So, like, from a bill standpoint, we want the cap to go up every single year because, well, to be quite honest, and I'm totally fine with this, if we're running a house, they would say we're spending beyond our means, right? You're maxing out your credit card, and in the name of winning, I don't care. I will die on that hill. We'll deal with that in 2028. But again, this is not my money. Well, if you're a Bills fan, like, you want the league to raise revenue. You want that cap to go up. So if it ends up being the Bills on Wednesday Night Football and they have to play a Thursday night game beforehand, well, just know in the end that maybe that's a reason, and you could say it positive. All right, we're raising more money here because, my gosh, just when you – and by the way, Thanksgiving Eve, no one's asking for this. I just wonder, like, it would be great if we had a game on the night before Thanksgiving. No one is asking for it. Paul Hamilton covering the Sabres in a superb fashion, as he always does, will join us next year. My name is Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester.
Sports Update.
Syracuse Orange firing head coach Adrian Autry. The Orange failing to reach the tournament in any of Autry's first 3 seasons. The Amerks hosting Utica tonight. Head coach Mike Leone on what to expect.
Well, they've won 9 out of 11. I've been saying it all year. They're a really good hockey team. They're fully healthy. They're playing really good hockey. They beat really good teams. They have multiple players down from the NHL, and every game like this is going to be tight the rest of the year, and so we know what's at stake.
Leone joining us Tuesdays here in the Sports Bar. 7 o'clock for the coverage tonight here on WGR Rochester. We'll talk some Sabres coming up next with Paul Hamilton. Josh Allen restructuring that frees up $12 million. Teams must be cap compliant by 4 o'clock today, the start of the new league year. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
It's so much fun after you experience something that you haven't gone, years, maybe even like a decade. And again, I try to make it out as much as possible to Sabres hockey, but when you have an atmosphere like that, and again, it's a Tuesday night in Buffalo, 19,000, and it feels like old times. Joining us, Paul Hamilton, covering the Buffalo Sabres for WGR. Paul, appreciate the time. And when I got there last night, I'm looking at the ice warm-ups, I'm like, wait, who's that? Who's that big guy? Oh, my gosh, that's Logan Stanley. I guess everything worked out. Paul, walk us through yesterday. I mean, the idea that Stanley got on the ice, not only get it on the ice, but he did his job last night for Buffalo. Paul, thanks for your time. How are you today?
Good. How you doing?
Great. It's fun when you're covering a team like this, I suppose.
Yeah, and he had no idea when it was going to happen for the visa issues. I mean, he did a bag skate by himself with a coach at 8 a.m. because he can't join the team for the morning skate. And as of when Lindy Ruff spoke about 11:15 in the morning, the visa problems had not been solved. Stanley said at 3:30 he found out that they were. Lindy Ruff called him and says, "You want to play?" And he said, "I do." So he had 2.5 hours to get ready for a game after having a bag skate at 8 a.m. And there he was. He was out on the ice.
The presence he brings on the line, that is certainly something that, specifically when you play Tampa coming up in April or whoever it might be. But, Paul, the thing I'm noticing about this team, and you know this, is that these guys stick up for each other. Like the play last night, Thompson, Orlov, it's a hip check. To me, that's a little dirty. And Benson doesn't hesitate. He goes over there, and that's what I want to see out of a team there. Like, you're not going to take any liberties like that.
Well, when Dahlin was getting pounded on by Hagel, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was the first one on the scene because the team was going up ice on a break so that nobody saw it except Luukkonen. So out he came, and the referee actually stopped him just as he was getting there. And we had the opportunity to talk to Stanley in the first intermission of that Tampa game because he was at both games, Nashville and Tampa, but obviously could not play. I think he wanted to actually jump over the glass and go on the ice. He was excited with what he saw from his new teammates. How they were all there for each other, and he really was excited about that and couldn't wait to get out there with them. And I can guarantee you this. I don't guarantee much. He was taking notes that night. And if I was Brandon Hagel, I might get the flu on Dingus Day, when the rematch comes. Because the 6'7", 200, well, it's 230 he's listed. I would say probably closer to 250. He was taking notes. So that should be a wild affair on Dingus Day.
You brought up Dahlin and going back to that Tampa game, but you can go back to last week in Pittsburgh where you see Malkin, like, what the heck? Did you lose your mind there? What is it with Dahlin? Does he chirp? Is there something in his game? Is that just other teams picking on him? Why does Dahlin seem to be this guy that gets under the skin of the opponent, Paul?
Well, I talked to Tage Thompson for yesterday's pregame, and we talked just exactly about that because Dowling gets targeted. The best player will always get targeted. He gets targeted probably every game. And I asked Tage, I said, look, if you're the leading scorer, you're the leading goal scorer, do you have to put up with the same stuff? Do you get targeted? And he didn't want to brag, and he didn't, as he said, he goes, well, that's kind of a loaded question. Because he didn't want to brag, say, oh, yeah, they come after me, too, because I'm great, type of a thing. But he did say with a wry smile on his face, well, Raz is a bit of a rat, as he put it. And Darlene, I don't think, would disagree with it. Most of the time, Darlene starts it. And then you see Darlene started it with Malkin. He cross-checked him fairly hard. Malkin didn't like it, lost his head, swung his stick, got a well-deserved 5-game suspension. But, he's the one that starts the garbage all the time. And then somebody else comes in and tries to finish it. And so I was rather amused when he said that. But, look at what Thompson had. It's a legal check, and I think that's more of the issue than that being a dirty hit. I believe it is, but it's a legal hit, and that's the issue. I think what we need to be talking about is should that hip check that goes for the knees be ruled a penalty and an illegal hit, and I think it should be. I know the hip check was very popular back when Mike Ramsey was around. He executed it perfectly, but you could end somebody's career going for the knees like that. And so I think that's really more of the issue of I think that should become a penalty when somebody goes down that low and heads for the knees.
100%. Paul Hamilton, WGR, covering the Buffalo Sabres, who we will have tomorrow night taking on the Washington Capitals as the homestand will be wrapping up here shortly. Paul, as far as last night, fun night, 2 goals right out of the bat. And then, Celebrini, come on, you can't let him get in that close. Lindy Ruff called it stupid stuff last night. If you can kind of, expand on that, is this something like we're like thinking, okay, this is a team you could see has the talent, they can make a deep playoff run, but then, I don't know, like stupid stuff maybe? Your thoughts on, whether this stuff is correctable or not?
Oh, absolutely is. It's just been the last 2 games that all of a sudden the turnovers have been coming, and they needed to score 8 goals to win one of the games, and did. And the same thing with the Celebrini goal. I'm glad you brought that up because there were 3 egregious turnovers before that one by Alex Tuck. And Ruff called it what it was. It's just a stupid play. You're on the goal line and you throw it across the slot all the way to the other side of the ice, and it gets picked off and it's in your net within seconds. And that was the 3rd or 4th turnover of the shift, and that was the end of the Krebs, Thompson, and Tuck line. Ruff was so angry, he switched it right away. Thompson centered Ostland and Benson for the rest of the game. And he shuffled his lines after that. What's happened the last 2 games, Don Granato used to like to say this, so I've been giving him credit all day for it. If you're a good team, you can outscore your mistakes, and that's what they've done in the last 2 games. They've outscored their mistakes. That is not a viable way to play. They're good enough that they can do that on some nights, but you're not going to win a championship doing that. So they've been good. Remember how turnovers have been why they're such a bad team. Remember last year, Lindy Ruff came in and said, we have to be better defensively if we want to be a better team. And they weren't. They were just as bad. Why? Because they would make goofball passes, turn the puck over, and when you turn the puck over, you're immediately out of defensive structure. You're not in structure at all. Now you've hung your goaltenders out there. Now everybody's saying your goaltenders stink because they're facing 3-on-1s, in some cases 3-on-0s, and breakaways, time after time. And then finally, when they decided that, well, our way of playing, because they're a little hard-headed, isn't working, so why don't we try Lindy Ruff's way? And they've tried Lindy Ruff's way, and now they're having fun because they're winning hockey games. In the last 10 games, the Buffalo Sabres have 17 points. The Tampa Bay Lightning have 8. That's how many points just in 10 games they've picked up on the Lightning and are now 4 points ahead of them, and have made their 2 games in hand useless to them. They have to win them both now just to tie the Sabres.
Yeah.
Whereas before they were ahead and had 2 games in hand, but now they have 2 games in hand and the Sabres are 4 points ahead. So Tampa Bay has to win both games just to get back to the Buffalo Sabres. So yes, it's correctable. It's just something that's popped up recently. They'll figure it out. They have a lot of pride in the way they play hockey, and I don't expect it to continue.
Paul, as great as things are going in Buffalo, 8 straight wins, second time that's happened this season. Right now here in Rochester, the Amerks are on an 8-game losing streak. Actually, they have 2 loser points in there, but I call that a loss. Paul, is there any help on the way with these new bodies come in, whether that's Metsä or somebody else that could be coming back down to Rochester, in your opinion?
Well, there isn't a somebody else, but I would expect Metsä to come back probably after practice tomorrow, or I would expect probably tomorrow. If people are wondering, the reason so many players are up with Buffalo is after the trade deadline, you just have to be under the cap. You're not at the 23-player limit anymore. You can have as many players as you want as long as you're under the cap. But there's no point in keeping Metsä. Well, there's a point is how well he's played. I think he's only allowed 2 goals when he's been on the ice. He's been fantastic. And that's why he went ahead of Bryson, who got traded. Like Bryson was the number 7D and Metsä was the number 8D. But Metsä got in the lineup, just like if you remember in Rochester, after he won the national championship with Quinnipiac, the Amerks were in the playoffs. They signed him to an AHL contract. He was Quinnipiac's captain. And just like in college, nobody wanted him in college, and he had to work his way into the Quinnipiac lineup to be captain and win a national championship. Well, the Amerks had injuries. They were in a playoff series, so he had to play. And Appert couldn't take him out. Yeah. He played so well. He played the rest of the playoffs. I think he played 13 games, and just was good. So after 2 years, he earned an NHL contract at age 26, didn't play an NHL game till age 27, got in. Again, you couldn't pull him out. I mean, he keeps happening. And, they made these trades. And Shen is, won 2 Stanley Cups. I think he right now is the number 7 defenseman. So I envision him coming back to be the captain of the Amerks. If the Sabres need him, they can always recall him again. But there's no point in having him sitting up here. There's really nobody else that can be sent down. Oslin's not coming back. He wasn't even on the Clear Day roster to play in the playoffs. Metsä was. But Oslin wasn't. Oslin is an NHL player now. You will not see him again unless it's a rehab assignment in Rochester. He's a Sabre regular, so you're not getting him back. But I would be very surprised if you don't get Metsä back very soon. But the reason the Amerks, I think, are where they are, those are 2 very important pieces that they have been missing for a long time out of their lineup. And I think the Amerks missed them desperately. And now they no longer have Roseanne, who's out of the organization. So that's another huge piece that the Amerks are missing.
Yeah, I mean, I get Roseanne because, well, Paul, I mean, like his skill set, that's not what the Sabres need right now. I mean, he's averaging more than a point per game here at the American Hockey League level. You needed some different. You needed a different guy there, and I had no problem with the and Roseanne may end up having a great career in the NHL as a point producer. But right here and right now, that's a move that signifies to me that, okay, the Sabres are actually going for this.
Yeah, I would kind of doubt that he's going to have an NHL career. You're right, he could. But we never really saw that. We would see spurts of it this year only. We didn't see any of it before this year. He just was not a good NHL player when he came up. And this year there were a couple of games he played well. Other games he was totally lost. You look at that draft, there's only maybe 2 players that were drafted behind him. That Wyatt Johnston would be one of them, and he was in the 20s some odd when he was taken by Dallas. Of course you would want him, but that was not a good draft at all. So it's not like – I think in the end it's going to turn into be a bust pick. But then you could say, well, who would you have taken? Wyatt Johnson, and you might be done.
Yeah.
That you look at the other guys around him, they're not doing anything either. So it just was not a good draft. And if you really press me, I don't think he's going to be an NHL player.
Paul Hamilton is the Amerks tonight taking on Utica. Sabres tomorrow night at home against Washington, and I would assume the goalie rotation will continue, which means UPL going back in. Paul, how long can you keep this up? Are we expecting perhaps this continuing into the postseason, rotating the goaltenders?
It absolutely will if they continue to play well, and it just goes to show you when the turnovers crop up, your goaltending isn't as good. Lindy Ruff got rather testy yesterday when somebody brought up Luukkonen. He gave up the 7 goals, but still won the hockey game. And Ruff got testy. He goes, I would defy you to tell me which one of the goals you're talking about that he should have had. He goes, I could maybe come up with 1, maybe 2 that you would want a big save on. He goes, there were 5 other ones that he wasn't stopping because we hung him. And he said, he goes, I did not want to change the goaltender. He goes, sometimes I get accused, and he said, rightfully so, of pulling the goalie too quickly. He said, our team was trying to dig down to win a hockey game, and he goes, so was he. And he goes, I wanted to keep him in the fight because he goes, he was fighting hard to try to do his best out there. And he goes, I wanted to keep him in the fight with his teammates. And it worked out. I mean, the last 5 minutes, they needed a couple of big saves. Buffalo had the 1-goal lead. They were trying to protect. They needed a couple of big saves from him, and they got it. And when the final horn went, I think that was the happiest I've ever seen it. He actually leaped in the air. And he's always talked about that after a game. It might be a 5-4 win. And he goes, fine. I don't care. We won. He goes, that is the biggest thing. All I care about is winning. He goes, the rest of it, I'll sit down with Mike Bales and we'll figure out. He said, but I care about winning. And if we win the hockey game, that's all that matters. He goes, then we'll sit down and we'll go over the goals and we'll figure out what could I do better, in a game. And it wasn't a great game. It wasn't a great third period for him. I agree with Ruff. Before Brian Koziel and I talked about it in the first 40 minutes, I go, what goal do you want to pin on him? In the third period, it kind of fell apart a little bit on him, but still, I would have done the same thing Ruff did. I would have wanted to keep him in the fight because he was fighting hard. He hasn't had a bad game in a long, long time. Lyon made some great saves yesterday, but he let in 3. Again, he got hung out a couple of times. So that's 10 goals you've given up in 2 games, but I don't think that interrupts the goalie rotation at all because that was more the way the team was playing in front of them.
Yeah, that game Sunday, Paul, you look back at that and recency bias being a thing, but I put it right up there with the line fight there with Ottawa in terms of games that will just define a team and a season. And I guess my question is, Paul, you have been on the beat here not for years, but for decades, going back to the Hasek years. You were there, when the team lost in Carolina. I mean, how do you put into comparison what we're seeing right here? Because I want to believe like this team has the potential that those other teams had for a deep playoff run. How do you put it in context what you're seeing right now, Paul?
Forget the Hasek years. I go back to the Ruff and Housley years when they were playing. But I
didn't want to make you that old, Paul, but okay.
It's. I remember a comeback against Boston. We were trying to figure out if it was in this arena or in the Aud. I think it was this one. I think it was a 6-1 game too, because I was thinking to myself, when do you see a team get outscored 6-1 within a game and win? Because think about it. Buffalo had a 3-0 lead. And then the next part of the game, Tampa outscores the Sabres 6-1. And then the next part of the game, the Sabres outscore Tampa 4-1. We saw 2 consecutive periods with 7 goals in them. 2 consecutive periods. I've never seen that before. Where the 2 teams combined for 7 goals. I just don't remember a game that went back and forth like that. But that's the confidence the Sabres have right now. They got outscored 6-1, which made the score at the time 6-4. They didn't feel out of it. And then next thing you know, the score is 7-5. They didn't feel out of it.
Mm-hmm.
There was still plenty of time in the third period to score 2 goals. Well, by 5 minutes left, they had the lead. They got 3 more goals within less than 5 minutes, and then they had the lead. So they spent the last 5 minutes protecting that 1-goal lead, and it was just crazy. They had a 5-on-3 power play, which was a horrendous power play because Darlene was in the penalty box. They tried to force all these passes. They had 1 scoring chance in a full 2-minute 5-on-3, and then they went 4 for 5 on the power play for the rest of the night. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, you could have been writing fiction and you wouldn't have come up with this. I mean, it was just a wild game.
It's why we love sports. And, gosh, and this fan base certainly deserves something to smile about. And it's going to get better because there will be – I'm not jinxing anything. There will be a postseason berth here for the Buffalo Sabres, Paul. Do you have – last one for you here. Do you have a preference here? Or is it too soon to kind of speculate who would be the best first-round matchup for Buffalo?
Remember, I think I was on with you when I told you to restart the season. All they needed to do is go 12-12-1, which would get them to 95 points, which when we were talking was the cutoff. And I said, that's 500 hockey. Well, since then, they've won 8 in a row, so I guess they only have to go 4-12-1 to make the playoffs. That shouldn't be too hard of a task, to be able to pull off. Now, Darlene was asked about Raymond in the Olympics. They, of course, both played for Team Sweden, and he was like, "Yeah, I hate Detroit. I love beating Detroit. I hate them, and it would be so great to beat Raymond. I almost like he can't stand Raymond. I don't think that's it. I think they talk crap in the locker room." and I think the two of them probably do what Thompson and he do. And so I said to him, I go, do you guys talk crap in the locker room? He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, the guys on Team Sweden know the Buffalo Sabres are coming. So Rasmus Dahlin would like to play the Detroit Red Wings. How's that?
Duly noted, and that certainly could be a viable pick. Although, if the Sabres, Detroit could fall. Who knows, Paul? There's we do have a lot of hockey here in terms of how this could move the standings. Paul, appreciate, as always, your time today, and I'm sure we'll be talking more here in the coming weeks. So,
sounds good. Take care.
All right, thanks. Paul Hamilton, our guest. You can react to that. Our handle, WGR Rochester, if you want to weigh in. We'll take your calls as well, 866-4326. But the segment that steals the show, Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day. And I'm not overselling it, by the way. I'm telling you it's a terrible take. It's terrible. It's coming up next year. My name is Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester. Spring is right around the corner, and we bet you're excited for warmer weather. But as temperatures rise, make sure that your energy bills don't. Keeping those cooling costs low with Window Nation's high-quality, energy-efficient products. Simply request a consultation where their experts will visit your home, spot problem areas, and make recommendations. Your customized windows can be installed in a day. And once completed, your home will be shielded from outside hot air while you remain cool and comfortable inside throughout the spring and summer. With Window Nation, your house won't just look great, but you'll also have peace of mind. All the Window Nation's products are backed by a lifetime warranty, so there's no better time to upgrade your home with Window Nation. In March, the more you buy, the more savings you could enjoy, up to 50% off all window styles. And be sure to ask about Window Nation's generous financing options, including $0 down and payments as little as $199 a month. Visit windownation.com for your free consultation today. That's windownation.com.
Crossfield Heating and Air.
Sir, you're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Our favorite Baltimorean, PJ Glasser, to join us as he does every Wednesday. But you want to talk about timing. The Ravens signing Trey Hendrickson, backing out of the – they didn't have to back out. That's what they did with Max Crosby. We'll get the thoughts of PJ Glasser's. A lot of college basketball happening as well, and PJ will give us some winners. And, my gosh, this time next week, we are really sharpening those pencils, right? Can you believe we're only 8 days away from the start of the NCAA tournament? We welcome in our fine producer, Tim Schneider, back to the studios. You have been with us since basically 2010, doing a lot of different things here, helping out in the break room, behind the scenes, and you have takes. Tim, what do you have for us this afternoon?
This afternoon, I've got something that you kind of touched on to start the show today. The chaos that is the legal tampering window or open negotiation period or whatever it is to be phrased. You get stuff like the Max Crosby fallout, and the chaos and the unknown is what's fun. Like, we don't know what happens next, and that's the beauty of all of this is it can go many directions. Like, he can go somewhere else. He can go back to the Raiders. He will not be going to Baltimore, but Baltimore gets to play the villain role there by backing out and bringing in division rival Trey Hendrickson. And now we get to sit and wait and see what comes next with Max Crosby. So
that's it?
The chaos, yeah.
The chaos.
Like, we get the unknown. We have no idea what comes next, but there's many ways it can go.
There's no comp to this, though. Like, there's no comp of, like, a team backing out of a deal this big. Give me the comp. We've had other comps like J.D. McKissick. Right. I'm not going to be like, this is not chaos. This is bad business on Baltimore's part. It really is. But you could say it's the NFL and it's ruthless and shame on the Raiders. I'm wondering though if this might be a take. Like, what's happening here is going to spurn change. We love getting the info. This is not the NFL. This is 2 days of agent yapping. Like, that's where this is really coming from. Like, you agreed to this trade, and then, like, everything at 4 o'clock should become official today. But that's not the way it kind of goes once the agent figures this out. And you mean to tell me that the Ravens, Tim, last night, okay, our doctors are saying no. Get Trey Hendrickson on the phone. But no, those negotiations don't happen in an hour or two. Like, legitimately, like there are bonuses and there are incentives and there's all sorts of fine print crap that legal teams have to go through. So what I'm saying is that, honestly, the chaos, this started like we only heard about this last night. Well, like, when did the Raiders actually learn about this? You think it was last night, right before 8 o'clock? No, they probably heard about it. I'm going to be generous. Maybe yesterday morning, and they've got to be, the reaction is like, you've got to be effing kidding me. You have to be kidding me. And the first thing you do when a deal is falling apart, you're calling up and you are trying to, like, okay, what? Tell us what. And you're trying to maybe salvage this. And was there ever in order to make the deal happen there, Raiders, we're going to give you a third instead of a first? I don't know.
Right. You've got to pick up the pieces, and now we get to observe it all as Max Crosby remains with the Raiders.
You threw me a curveball. I thought you were going to take your 2 minutes here and be like, Bonaventure wins.
I'm waiting for them to lose.
Mark Schmidt, I love you. Quick Mark Schmidt story, because we had him when your school used to come to Rochester.
Missed him so.
Yeah, tell somebody. Tell Seth Johnson or whoever at Bonaventure, hey, stop with the it's tough to come up here. No, it's tough to get to Olean, okay? We have an airport here, right? So, like, easy in, easy out, right? So the question I would have is, why did you leave Rochester, number one? But the Mark Schmidt story is, whenever Bonaventure would come in, we would put Mark Schmidt on because, like, look, we want to help the school out. This is what people are talking about. And, depending on the opponent, man, you could have 6,000 to 8,000 out there at the Blue Cross. That feels really good. That's what our town needs, Division I basketball. And I don't remember the particular opponent, but it was multiple years, actually. But, like, Mark Schmidt, every time hated doing that stuff. Just would be a grouch. Didn't like talking to me. But when he was on, he was on. He would give us everything he would want. And then when the lights were off, the lights were off. So the murmurs are all forced out of retirement. I don't know. I get the sense that maybe he will be going away.
I don't think so. I think he was pushed out by Woj. And I would love to get Woj on these airwaves.
No, you don't. I don't want him on the airwaves. He is living fat and happy right now, Adrian Wojnarowski. He is. He declined our request to come on here before. So you know what? Whatever. Okay, Rochester's not a good basketball market whatsoever. Not at all. We don't produce any NBA players. We don't. Saturday, the Blue Cross Arena, there are no kids there with Division I offers. Not at all. I'm being sarcastic. You should make Rochester your market. You're getting me upset now. Actually, I'm the one who brought up Bonaventure. Want to get upset? Okay. Yes, we will talk baseball coming up. As Rochester is a baseball town, I cannot believe what has happened in the last day or so. We'll talk to PJ Glasser next hour, too. My name is Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester.
Sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey Sports Station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
The Adrian Autry era has come to an end in Syracuse. The school firing the head coach today. SU failing to reach the NCAA tournament in the 3 seasons Autry was at the helm. Round 1 of the ACC tournament has Pitt, actually it's round 2, NC State leading Pitt 94-84. Round 1 of the A10 tournament, St. Bonaventure getting a win today over LaSalle 99-80. Amherst hockey tonight hosting Utica. Head coach Mike Leone says that Utica has what it takes.
Well, they've won 9 out of 11. I've been saying it all year. They're a really good hockey team. They're fully healthy. They're playing really good hockey. They beat really good teams. They have multiple players down from the NHL, and every game like this is going to be tight the rest of the year, and so we know what's at stake.
7 o'clock tonight for the coverage. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
Round 2, hour 2 here at the Sports Bar. You found us on a rainy afternoon here on a Wednesday in March. This is what we expect, right? And there is just so much to talk about. We should mention also that Josh Allen restructured today. Now, the initial report, $40 million. You're like, oh, $40 million, what's going to happen? No, that was a math error by the reporter. The actual dollars are 12, so, which, okay. That will probably get the Bills to where they need to be cap compliant by 4 o'clock today, the start of the new league year. In case you missed it from this morning, Trey Hendrickson will not be coming to Buffalo. He's a Baltimore Raven, and you can connect the dots, certainly, right? Like, what's the better deal? Sign Trey Hendrickson or trade for Max Crosby and give up 2 first-round picks? Yeah, it's pretty clear. I'm just fascinated where the Crosby story goes. What is the comp to this? A team backing out of a deal like that. And now the Raiders have an asset that has depreciated value. No question about it. Because who depreciated the value? It was the team that dished you. That was Baltimore. And by saying he failed his physical, I mean, Max Crosby, for the sake of the NFLPA, can't get on a scale and just do this live on Netflix and say, hey, everybody, because then you're going to force every athlete to do this. Like, that there are HIPAA laws for a reason, right? I think the conclusion is, and the NFL loves itself some serial content. You look at Aaron Rodgers. Like, how many summers have we, is Aaron Rodgers going to play or not? I don't care. But that's what people eat up, I guess. Not me. Probably not you either, but a lot of people do, I guess. That's going to be the storyline this year. Oh, my goodness. Here we have this rumor that this team is interested in Max Crosby. This isn't going to get resolved anytime soon. Max Crosby will go back to the Raiders, and my hope, my wish, is that wherever Max Crosby eventually gets traded to, they have to face the Baltimore Ravens. Now, could Max Crosby end up as a Buffalo Bill? I don't know how you could do this right now to free up the cap space. Seems like that's a big ticket item that the Buffalo Bills didn't exactly give themselves a lot of room for. I mean, heck, you're committing this money to Connor McGovern and DJ Moore. Seems like the Bills have made their moves here, as unexpected as they might, on offensive line and a wide receiver we didn't see coming. So the Bills news from today, not much. I guess since yesterday, we had Cam Lewis is no longer a Buffalo Bill. So Mr. Versatility in the old Sean McDermott defense, he's a McDermott guy. Like, he's going to Chicago. So good that Cam Lewis, a guy coming out of UB, had to be on the practice squad, bounced for years between practice squad and 53, and then became this guy that, all right, sure. And there were some plays over the years, certainly at the top of the list being the Jefferson catch. How can you let that happen? But again, it's Jefferson, I suppose, the Vikings. There was another play against Miami in a game that kind of sort of felt like a playoff game in December where he ran into the punter. Well, first down Miami. That not ideal. but somebody that kind of rose above that. So good luck to former sports bar guest Cam Lewis, as he is now a Chicago Bear. 866-4326 is our number. I've got to talk just a little bit of baseball here, because with everything happening, the idea that by the end of tonight, Team USA could get knocked out, not even make it to the knockout round. Oh, how is that possible? Now, you could say, well, look at the pitching. No, stop. Full stop. That's just ridiculous. Well, here's the quote from we're going to play this for you. Yesterday on MLB Network, prior to the game against Italy, which the United States would go on to lose 8-6, in a game they were down 8-0 to Italy. This is Team USA manager, we should mention MLB Network employee, Mark DeRosa.
Ton of respect for Italy. It's weird. We want to win this game, even though our ticket's punched to the quarterfinals, because Mexico plays Italy actually tomorrow. So the way the schedule lines up, this is an important game for us.
There's so much not true about that, including our ticket is punched. Okay, you should resign on the spot, if not get fired. Secondly, because you're an MLB Network employee and you're doing that, no one will ever take you seriously about everything. That is what you're going to be known forever now for. Like, this is going to be the symbol of, we don't take you seriously. We're so much better. We have a ton of respect for Italy. By saying that, you just said you don't have a respect for Italy if the next thing out of your mouth is a lie. How could you have respect for Italy if you didn't even know you needed this game to clinch? There's this other angle, too, that the World Baseball Classic is an absolute sham. Now, if you're thinking, boy, this is really kind of a cool story, because you saw this, and we talked about this, the pitcher from Chechnya who was an electrician, and he went out and performed well and struck out Shohei and got a standing ovation. Hey, that's cool. All right. Baseball, another part of the globe. And wow, Team Italy. This is fantastic. Italians taking to baseball. I'm going to put Tim Schneider on the spot here, Tim. And you may not know the answer to this, but give me an educated guess. The roster is 30. 30 players for Team Italy. How many were actually born in Italy?
0.
Close. 3. 3. Like, known Italians, okay? Great Italians like Aaron Nola and Vinny Pasquantino and Jack Caglione. How about their coaching staff? That great Italian from Europe, Dave Righetti, who came overseas on a boat and pitched for the New York Yankees. How about that great catcher from the era that Jeter was there? Who can't forget that great Italian, Jorge Posada? He's on the coaching staff too. What, did you visited Italy and this makes you part of Team Italy? Come on.
Got a vowel, can't play.
Yeah, no, like, okay, fair enough. Tim, for the Aquinas Little Irish, I got into 2 games in varsity. 2. Does that qualify me? I should be on this roster. It's a sham. Like, for Mark DeRosa, you're pretending like these are guys that are coming over on the boat and they're going to go through Ellis Island and everything else. Mark DeRosa should be fired. And I don't ever want to see that guy again. You're representing, look, it's a sham, yes, but what's across the crest of your jersey? USA. And for hockey to win the Olympics, taking politics out of this, please, and to do that, yeah, you felt a lot of pride, right? And now this is embarrassing to the point where now tonight, this game was demoted to Tubi. Tubi. And then Fox realized, oh, yeah, people might want to watch this. So it's now on FS1. And this is complicated, okay? So I'm going to try to explain it because some of these games, there's Little League rules. Not everybody is playing the same amount of innings. So it's a ratio, basically, So if three teams have 3-1 records like the USA and Italy and Mexico, well then who gets what? Okay, I'm going to credit Dan Clark. Okay, whoever Dan Clark is, but he explains it, right? So tonight, here's what you need. If Italy wins, these team of fine Italians. Francisco Cervelli is the manager, by the way. Fine Italian. Team USA. If Italy wins, the U.S. is they advance. We're gonna be like 2 thumbs up. Woo! If Mexico beats Italy, and that could happen, right? Mexico was kind of in that game with the U.S. back on Monday. If Mexico beats Italy by these scores, 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, 4-0, 4-1, 4-2, 4-3. Any other final score will see Team USA move on. So basically, bottom line is this, that Mexico has to beat Italy and score 5 runs. And if Mexico does not score 5 runs and they still win the game, then the U.S. will advance. So I still think there is a chance. But Mark DeRosa now has become the symbol of coach that doesn't. Can you play this again, Tim? There are things that from the old show Sports Bar 1.0 that I want to carry over. And one of them is our annual take of the year. This take is so bad. I am nominating this, Tim Schneider, as our first take of the year for just how egregious this is. This is Team USA manager Mark DeRosa.
Ton of respect for Italy. It's weird. We want to win this game, even though our tickets punched to the quarterfinals, because Mexico plays Italy actually tomorrow. So the way the schedule lines up, this is an important game for us.
It's weird. We want to win the game. I don't know. Let's see. Did anybody ever play sports at any level and thought, man, can't wait. I want to win the game. That feels kind of weird. I want to win the game. It's weird we want to win the game. Why the F is it weird? How much of an outlier was Bam Adebayo's game last night? His previous career high was 41 points. He scored 83 last night. 83. You had the announcer, one of them on the Wizards broadcast, that was the opponent, suggest that Bam Adebayo come out of respect to Kobe Bryant. Come on. Are you serious? But back to how much of an outlier was this? Adebayo is the first player in NBA history to double their career high, with the career high being at least 25 points. So, take out anybody. Him making my NBA debut and I'm scoring 6 points, and the next game you score 12. No. We're talking about 25 or more, and then you're going to double it. So nobody went from a career high of 26 to 52. To go with a career high previously of 41 to 83 in a league that has so much talent. The Bam Adebayo would have been, I don't know, not in my top 100 picks here to score 83 points. I'm exaggerating a little bit. But to me, it just kind of symbolizes what the NBA is now. And that is a league that doesn't play defense. And for teams that are out of it, like Washington, do they really even care? So the NBA has we could celebrate Bam Adebayo. Yay, what a great performance. I just look at it like, man, that Washington team sucks. They were fouling on purpose, I swear, last night just to get the guy to the line. Enough. I'm getting myself worked up. And I'm going to get worked up more because PJ Glasser will come in. I have not talked to PJ by phone or text since the trade yesterday. That got called off between the Raiders and the Ravens. And now one TJ Hawkinson is in Baltimore. We'll get PJ's thoughts not only on that trade, but some plays for you as well, as it's conference championship week and as we're looking toward the brackets. What are some things to keep in mind, some rules of thumb for PJ Glasser, a betting expert. He joins us next. My name is Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Syracuse Orange firing Adrian Autry today. The Orange finished thing with a losing record. Syracuse failing to reach the tournament in any of Autry's 3 seasons as head coach. Round 1 of the A10 tournament, and it'll be at least one more game for Mark Schmidt as Bonnie's head coach. Bonaventure with a win over LaSalle, 99-80. Hockey tonight in the Flower City is the Amherst hosting Utica. Head coach Mike Leone says this is a tough opponent.
When you get to this time of the year, like big, heavy, hard is what wins. You know, if you're gonna get into the playoffs or you want to play deep, like it's a heavy, hard game. There's less time and space on the ice. The risk in your game has to be limited to on what you're going to give up because the margin for error is really small.
7 o'clock tonight for the coverage. Josh Allen restructures. That frees up $12 million for the Bills cap. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Such a great day to have our favorite Baltimorean join us, as he does every Wednesday. PJ Glasser, a betting expert. It's certainly his time of year with college basketball, but PJ, that whole deal, it smells, quite frankly. How are you today, PJ?
Gene, I'm doing good. Did anything happen last night? I was out. I don't know if anything happened.
Who knew that you could just use this HIPAA law as a big old giant loophole? Like, okay, you're fatal physical. Like, how? Why? What kind of happened here? PJ, I'm just gonna open up. The dance floor is yours here, buddy. Like, you are a Raven fan. Are you excited now that you get your 2 first-round picks back and you get Trey Hendrickson? Are you kind of sheepishly embarrassed because now the NFL, everybody else is giving you the stink eye here? Your thoughts here on this move?
Gene, it's really strange. I mean, especially the last 4 or 5 days to go from the Ravens making a move that they never, ever make. I mean, they've never traded away a first-round pick in their franchise history, let alone 2, and then they do that to go for Crosby, so there's excitement around that. Lamar tweets out, a Denzel Washington gif of boom, so obviously the locker room's fired up, and then this comes out. I mean, I've been scrolling through Twitter, as I'm sure so many other people have, and you're just trying to see what the reports are, and certain people are saying one thing, other people are saying the other. It's obviously tough to know what really went on behind the scenes and whether or not the Ravens, just kind of got cold feet, whether they actually feel like he did fail as physical. As how I'm feeling about how the whole thing played out, I think it turned out good for him to, get a good pass rusher and now all of a sudden recoup 2 of your first-round picks. I mean, you got to be pleased with that. And then they restructure Lamar's contract, so now they have $60 million in cap that they can work with. But certainly the way that they went about it is definitely not a great look, because we were all kind of trying to fill in the dots when last night this news broke that they were going to pull away from Crosby, and with teams now spending all this money in free agency and they go after Hendrickson. It definitely, I mean, you can definitely read between the lines and see how it might look a little shady. But as for how it turned out, I mean, even though they probably didn't go about it the best way, the fact you get your picks back and you get a big area of need with a big pass rusher, I think it worked out well for him.
Yeah, it works out well for the Ravens, but it's like there's other angles to this too. Like if you're the Cowboys, all right, well, they were in on this, and they got beat out by a better Baltimore offer. But I'm curious, like, if, the next owners meeting, if Jerry Jones pulls Steve Bisciotti aside there, because I don't think the Cowboys now are going to renege on their deal with Green Bay for Rashawn Gary. So that, like, everything's kind of connected here in such a way here, PJ. And I'm just wondering, too, if this is going to spark some change, because the whole – I mean, we don't even know what to call this phrase, legal tampering. No, it's not even. It should just be called agent days. 2 days of agents giving, feeding you things before the league year becomes. And I'm just wondering if actually this will spark some change about this whole process so the NFL doesn't find themselves in this situation again.
Well, I'm glad you bring up the Cowboys too, Gene, because like you said, they were rumored into being one of the teams that was in on Max Crosby. I guess they gave up this year's first and next year's second. The Ravens obviously went with 2 firsts, so that's why the Raiders made the deal with them. But after the Ravens came out that Max failed their physical and the doctors didn't like what they had seen, the Cowboys kind of echoed the same sentiments, and that's why they really haven't come back with an offer. So we'll see how this all plays out. The Raiders, certainly, it doesn't seem like are going to get 2 firsts like they once did. It feels like they're kind of the big losers in all this because, you think you're going into the draft with 2 top 15 picks. You spend the money on Linderbaum and in some other areas. And even though you're getting Crosby back, it obviously might have changed the way that you went about certain things. You probably don't make that big of an offer for Linderbaum if you know that you're going to have Crosby. But it is interesting, Gene, how aggressive these teams are going to be now after Crosby. And you're right. I mean, how this affects kind of the next owner meeting is very interesting. How this affects, DeCosta's relationship with some of the GMs around the league as well is going to be interesting too.
PJ Glasser, as he'll give us your picks there. You had one today that was kind of a doozy, but before we get to your thoughts on what the week ahead here and then what might be happening with the brackets, Syracuse made the move that we all kind of expected here. Adrian Autry. You're an outsider, PJ. Like, we like to think of ourselves like Syracuse being a blue chip program. Are they still? Can they get back to that? This has been a really rough stretch for this program.
No, it definitely has. And but yeah, no, I still think they're definitely a top tier program, especially in the ACC. You wouldn't group them with Duke or North Carolina, but I think after that top 2 in its own tier, I think you would put Syracuse in that next tier in terms of like ACC teams right there with like Louisville or Virginia or teams like that. I mean, Boeheim, what he was able to do for a lot of his tenure, I think still puts them amongst one of the definitely respected programs in the sport. Autry wasn't able to figure it out, but there are a lot of good coaches out there, Gene, in the mid-major level. You can look at Josh Schertz at St. Louis. I'm a big fan of Eric Olin at New Mexico. Maybe they make a lateral move and they go after somebody in one of these Power 5 conferences that they can poach away from some of these other schools. So big signing here for Syracuse because it's always tough when you're replacing a legend and you're trying to figure out who that next coach is to fill in the shoes. Didn't work out, and now they got to make sure that they get this next hire right.
PJ, people like chalk, right? And when we get to our brackets, chalk may be the thing, but we have a weekend for action coming up in these tournaments. You, in one of these tournaments, like a team that doesn't have like 4-1 rods or, anything like that, a team with 100-1? Like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, like, lay this out for us here. Who you think is going to get hot? Because this team is obviously going to also enter the NCAA tournament if they run the conference tournament here. PJ, tell us who you like here.
So, Gene, I mean, anybody can come on and they can give you Duke to win the ACC, Michigan to win the Big Ten. I'm not going to do that because, I mean, there's a good chance those teams probably win it. So I got a couple of long shots, actually. The one that you're referring to is in the SEC at 100-1. That's going to be Texas, who I think could be worth a shot. They got to win 5 games in 5 days. They're playing later today against Ole Miss. The reason that I like Texas is if you look at the bottom half of that SEC bracket, all the top seeds down there, Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, and A&M, they all profile very similarly. All 4 of those teams are good offensively. They struggle defensively, but, Gene, they all play at like a top 25 pace in the country. They all play at a very fast pace, and Texas has beaten 3 of those 4 teams this season. So they've shown the ability against those teams. They can slow them down. They can play at their pace. They can work late in the shot clock, and they can beat those teams. So the fact that Texas has all 4 of those teams down there that all kind of play the same way, they've shown the ability that they can beat them. It's going to be tough to beat Florida because they are so far and away the best team in that league. But as we know, the beauty of college basketball, just one off day and they could go home. So I'm hoping that maybe somebody can pick off Florida. Texas can get hot in the bottom of that bracket. But I think 100-1's worth a shot. The other long shot, Gene, is TCU that I like at 80-1 in the Big 12. They play later tonight. The reason I like TCU, if you go back and look at their non-conference this season, back in November, Gene, they lost to Michigan by 4 on a neutral floor. They beat the Gators. They beat Wisconsin. And then you look at what they did in Big 12 play. They beat Iowa State. They beat Texas Tech. They lost at Kansas in overtime by 4. So this is a team that plays up to the level of their competition and have shown that they've been good on neutral floors. So because I said that, I'm sure Texas and TCU will both lose tonight, and, it'll be all for naught. But if they're able to escape those games tonight as favorites and they go up against some of those higher-seeded teams, 100 to 1, 80 to 1, Gene, throw a little pizza money on it. Why not?
Yeah, and quite often in these tournaments, like the top seeds, they got their eyes on something bigger. And all right, sometimes you don't get the full effort or the full strategy, and not that anybody's tanking or anything like that, but kind of looking ahead to next week here, PJ. Bubble teams, the topic here. Who are some teams that you're keeping a close eye here that coming up this week here, whether they get in or out?
Yeah, certainly Auburn's a big topic of discussion because they're 16 and 15 right now, Gene. They finished 12th in the SEC, but they do have some good wins. They have a win over St. John's. They won at Florida, which is looking like an unbelievable win. So because of some of the big wins that they have, and they don't really have too many terrible losses, even at 16 and 15, they find themselves in the hunt. So if they're able to win 2 or 3 games in Nashville this week, they should find themselves in the tournament. New Mexico, who I just brought up with Eric Olin, I'm just a big fan of him as a coach, and that Mountain West tournament is always fun. So if they're able to win a couple games, that could be potentially a team to watch out for. So those are definitely the 2 teams I'm keeping an eye on. VCU, I also think is going to be interesting in the A-10. They're the number 1 seed in that tournament. If they don't win the A-10, it's going to be interesting to see if they still get in the big dance because they've been playing really good ball as of late, Gene. Their regular season finale, they won at Dayton, which is a difficult place to play. So those 3 I'd keep an eye on, but I think Auburn's the most interesting just because of their record and how bad they've been down the stretch, but because some of those wins that they had a little earlier in the season still has them on the bubble.
Now, 2 more for you, PJ, and this is a little out of your wheelhouse there, or maybe not, because you are down in the Beltway. You don't have a team in Baltimore, but you do have the Caps. They're coming up here tomorrow night. PJ, it's time for you to get on the Sabre wagon, my friend.
Come on.
This is it. Choo-choo. This team, like honestly, like I look at a team like Tampa that, boy, they're just kind of like sliding here a little bit. PJ, I'm inviting you on the Sabre train here because the Caps certainly aren't going anywhere other than to their off-season home here shortly.
Gene, I'm in on the Sabre bandwagon. The only thing I want to know is Kyle Okposo still playing for Buffalo? Is he still there?
No, he was actually they traded him to Florida, and he was one of the first to hoist the cup with the Panthers, and that's how he retired. Kyle Okposo.
Okay.
But I wanted to wrap up, too, because we didn't even talk any NBA. Did you see that game down in Miami last night, PJ?
Can I tell you, there was somebody that tweeted out yesterday that there's somebody out there who's a Ravens and a Wizards fan that's probably having a rough day. That's me, Gene. Thank you very much. Now, I wasn't tuned in. I'm watching college basketball, but I'm getting the alerts, and I see on the ticker that he's got 31 at He's got 31 at the end of the first, 43 at halftime, and then he finished with 83 points. And of course, I'm talking about Bam Adebayo with 83, Gene.
The setup is perfect. I hope he knows I'm giving him an alley-oop to crush it. PJ, I got to be honest, though, because I did go to the Sabre game last night, and I'm listening to our station on the way home, and they're like, well, we never report on NBA news. Ha, 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 ha. But this actually, I'm like, whoa. Were they giving him opportunities at the end to break that, meaning the Wizards there? Were the Wizards just standing down?
I mean, how can they not, right? They're trying to lose first and foremost. So the fact that Bam's having an insanely great night, he's doing you a favor. But yeah, again, I really wasn't watching much of it, Gene, to be honest with you. I know he was shooting a bunch of free throws at the end. I think Miami was just force feeding him. Why not, right? In a game like that, he's got 83 points, so just keep feeding him. But it's kind of crazy. We got Wilt Chamberlain, Bam Adebayo, and Kobe Bryant now as the 3 highest scoring players in the NBA in a single game.
PJ, tell our audience here in Rochester, they want more PJ, especially this time of year where they can get more of your content.
Gene, you can check me out on Game Day Garage. I'll be doing a bunch of things there on Twitch and YouTube, previewing March Madness and college basketball, Hoops and 5 as well, which you can check out on my YouTube channel, PJ Glasser. And then, follow me on Twitter at PJ Glasser9 as well. Gene, so much to talk about. We didn't even dive into golf. We got the players this week.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, PJ.
Colin Morikawa, Gene. That's my guy this week. If you go back and look at the players, there are the last 7 winners have all been over 1.5 strokes gained in their last 7 events or something like that. So it's like Scheffler, Rory, but then it's Morikawa, Siwoo Kim, Minwoo Lee. So those are the 5 guys that I would look at this week. Morikawa's been hot though, and I think he wins this week. So that'd be my pick.
That is PJ. Thank you for pointing that out, and I cannot wait for our next conversation next Wednesday, as I would advise everybody just to wait until we get the PJ take when you join us next Wednesday as we'll be turning in our brackets. PJ, thank you so much, bud.
Can't wait, Gene. Talk to you then.
Thanks. PJ Glasser joining us. And I have to give this disclaimer. If you're new to the show, first of all, hi, welcome. Second of all, that we acknowledge this. That's a blatant ripoff of Scott Van Pelt's bit. But I'm telling you, the history of this, it's like any good running joke. It happened quite naturally. Organic, I guess would be the word. Where this goes back to the Women's World Cup. One of the first times we're talking to PJ, and we didn't even know where PJ was from, right? No idea. And we invited him on, and here I have some plays here. And this is when the Women's World Cup was down in New Zealand. And if you remember that tournament, the United States blew it. They didn't win, so... But regardless, going into it, PJ starts talking about the reasons why you could see the United States winning a few games, and he brought up Megan Rapinoe. And I just kind of chuckled. And for me, sitting in this chair here in Rochester, New York, and self-awareness is a good thing, I can't be talking about somebody else's accent because this is how we talk here in the Flower City. Hey, I'm going to go to the Amherst game to take it on Utica tonight. Be sure to hear Don Stevens with the call here on Rochester. So we became this kind of thing where every time we hear PJ say something in his Baltimore accent, and he's been great. He has certainly been a lot of fun to kind of play along with. And again, we acknowledge the person who came up with that bit originally. But when I saw that it was Bam Adebayo last night with 83 points, who did I think of immediately? That was one PJ Glasser. Last call is for you. 866-4326, area code 585, here on WGR Rochester.
talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
It's tough to live in the mediocre world of the NFL when you're... Do you have a franchise quarterback, or is he just a guy and we can't find somebody better? I'm looking at the Colts right now. They were in this bad spot where they did what you're supposed to do. They figured, okay, we've got to draft a top 10 guy or somebody we believe is going to be a franchise guy. They just didn't pick the right one, Anthony Richardson, who is still in Indianapolis, by the way. But today the Colts. Coming to, this will become official at 4 o'clock, 2-year, $88 million extension for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones. Is he not the definition of like the mid quarterback in the NFL, where sure he can win you some games and maybe he'll have a run every once in a while. But again, this is a cruel business where like you're going to serve up that money for somebody who tore his Achilles last year. And not every injury is the same. Not everybody recovers the same. But you're a Cole fan. You got to be like, oh, boy. It was looking good for that team at one point, to the fact where, like, maybe this team could make a run. And they make the big splash move going out and trading for Sauce Gardner. And now here's the Colts a year later. And like, I don't know about that team. By the way, the 4 o'clock kind of disclaimer, yes. You might be somebody who is at work or driving around, and you'll get the alert. Boop. Wait, the Bills made a move. 4 o'clock. What did they do? What did they do? Bills trade second-round pick for wide receiver DJ Moore and a fifth-round pick. Wait, I knew about that earlier. You never heard that from the team officially. So none of these things that we've heard about, they will all become official at 4 o'clock. So there will be a deluge of breaking news that's not really breaking news. Isn't that annoying, by the way? Like, oh, breaking news. And wait, I heard about that 3 hours ago. I don't know why networks do that, but I digress. That's just the disclaimer here. And if you're wondering, what did the Bills do today? Nothing. Not much. We will talk more Bills football tomorrow here on the show as we're lining up some guests here, because I would think that it should become very clear here. Okay, and the guys at Spot Track do a great job, but like once we get past the start of the new league year, how much money do the Bills actually have to spend? And hearing Sal Capaccio kind of explain this, and it makes sense, I guess, is that with the DJ Moore trade, and you heard about a renegotiation that's going to lower his cap number. Well, that lowering the cap number can't actually happen until you trade for him. So that's step number one. You trade for him. The Bills have to account for the whatever it is, $20+ million, and then you will lower that cap number once the league year happens. So that is the piece that I think could kind of help out here as the Bills, again, the analogy, they're maxing out their credit card. And this isn't personal finance. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but when it comes to the NFL, I want my team in a window that is not as big as we all think it is. Okay, we think that Josh Allen's going to be here 10 years playing at this level. Don't bank on that. The window here is the next year or two. The other NFL story I think is worth resetting. Wednesday Night Football, like legitimately. We had this for Christmas Eve the one year. It's like, or Christmas Day, I should say. Like, okay, I guess the NFL wants to take every holiday now. I never thought of the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, other than that's the night where, when I was coming home from college, everybody went out and got smashed. That's the one where Terrible Take Timmy puts on Facebook, hey, if you see me out at the bar, I will buy you a drink. Now that you're doing this on a permanent basis, you got to be advised. There will be people that will be like going out, just you will run up a great big bill if you decide to do that.
I actually retired that this year. Well, I went out, but I first time in and out, done. So I don't think I'm going to do it next year.
Well, good. You're maturing.
Allegedly.
So, well, okay. But maybe, Tim, you could just stay home and watch NFL football, because if they're floating this out there, let me tell you something, that means it's happening. And it means like somebody like a Netflix or YouTube or whoever will pay for this. So you will have a Wednesday night pre-Thanksgiving game, the 3 games on Thanksgiving itself, the Friday, Black Friday game, and then the games on Sunday. If you miss any of today's show, you can download the Odyssey app. Go back and listen in real time. As today, great show. I want to thank Paul Hamilton, Sabres beat reporter for WGR, joining us, as this is a fun ride. And what's going to make it a fun ride is I can't tell you how the story is going to end for the Sabres this year, but the unexpected is happening. This team is really, really good, I'm telling you. We were also joined by PJ Glasser this past hour. That was a lot of fun, too. So, again, download the app. It is absolutely free. Tonight here on WGR Rochester, the Amherst looking to break an 8-game slide as they host Utica. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks will be by 7 o'clock with the call. Shope and the Bulldog coming up next. For our producer, Tim Schneider, my name is Gene Battaglia, and this is a sports leader, WGR Rochester.